Budget phones have come a long way in the past few years, and it's pretty incredible how these two devices right here are now considered budget options, seeing as how they not only cost about the same, they also cost much less than other high-end flagships out there. I'm looking at you, Apple, Samsung. Yeah, you know who you are. So nowadays you can grab a fantastic phone for around $400 to $500. These are two of the best, but which one should you get? Well, that's what this video is for, and hopefully I can make that decision just a little easier. Alright, so both of these phones are rocking very nice and premium metal exteriors, with the OnePlus 3 feeling more comfortable in the hand as it's both lighter and shorter than the Nexus 6P. The 6P can be quite awkward to hold, especially if you're someone who's got smaller hands. Both are very smooth and can be quite slippery, so to aid that, I went ahead and slapped a skin on each of mine. There's also the fact that the OnePlus 3 has a Galaxy S6-like camera bump which does protrude out from the phone's body, and the Nexus 6P has this rather strange yet cool looking camera visor. Nonetheless, they both have incredibly solid and very nice looking builds that are sure to please anyone who's concerned with device hardware. Now moving over to the screens, both are very crisp and enjoyable to look at, but what differentiates the two is the size and the resolution. The OnePlus 3 has a 5.5-inch 1080p AMOLED display, while the 6P packs a heavier punch with its slightly larger 5.7-inch 2K AMOLED panel. Now just because the 6P has a higher resolution screen, that does not mean that the OnePlus 3 has a bad display that should be considered out of date. The 3's display is super crisp, it's clean, and viewing angles are just as nice as they are on the Nexus. So if you're worried about this 1080p panel, don't be. It's great. Now on the software side of things, I've got my Nexus 6P running the beta version of Android 7.0 Nougat, and we'll all be getting the official release very soon, which ties into the fact that with the Nexus devices, you'll always be getting the latest version of Android before any other Android device, obviously including the OnePlus 3. Now compared to other OEMs, OnePlus has been known to lag behind when it comes to software updates, so who knows how long it'll take them to push out the 7.0 update. As of now, my 3 is running Android 6.0.1 with OnePlus's Oxygen OS slapped on top. It's pretty much like stock Android with a nice handful of useful additions, mainly the customization aspects. You can sort of make the device look and act the way that you want it to with colors, setting toggles, buttons, gestures, and a lot more. Now I'm not saying that you can't change things on the 6P, it's just that out of the box, the OnePlus 3 gives you a few more choices as far as software aesthetics go. So nowadays when looking for a new phone, there's one deciding factor that stands above the rest. The one thing that can make or break a phone's appeal, and that's the camera. In this case, thankfully neither have poor cameras, but to put it simply, the Nexus 6P has the better camera here, and that's mainly for one small reason that I'll touch on in a little bit. The 6P's main 12.3 megapixel f2.0 shooter takes fantastic photos, but unfortunately, it lacks optical image stabilization, or OIS for short, whereas the OnePlus 3's camera also takes fantastic photos with a more familiar 16 megapixel f2.0 lens with OIS. Now when comparing the two together, while they both look different, it's a little difficult to pick a winner. Where the 6P gains its crown is in low light, but it mainly attributes that to HDR+, and if you don't know what that is, it's essentially a feature that takes a bunch of shots with shorter exposure times, it chooses the cleanest and sharpest picture as the structure, and then it goes on to align all the rest of the photos accordingly, providing you with much sharper and clearer images. Now the same story goes for the front-facing cameras, where the 6P has an 8 megapixel shooter and the 3 has a 5 megapixel shooter. Again, both of them are great, but if I had to choose one of them for my main selfie shooter, I gotta give it to the 6P. Now, specs are great. They're usually what's supposed to determine how well a phone stacks up to its competitors and what you can expect to experience when using the device yourself. But what's on paper doesn't always seem to translate into real-world usage, especially when comparing to another device. To put it plainly, both phones here are fast. They'll handle everything you throw at them like champs, and both have enough battery life to last you a full day's use. However, since the 3 has the newer, faster processor and twice the RAM of the 6P, you will definitely notice a difference when bouncing in between applications and performing heavy tasks. However, the difference is not groundbreaking. In my opinion, the speed of the OnePlus 3 should not be a deciding factor, and like I said, both devices are fast. The 3 just has younger legs, if you will. Now, while both devices have enough juice to last you through the day, the OnePlus 3 is definitely more consistent when performing heavy tasks, such as gaming for example. The 6P tends to drain a good amount faster than the 3, but overall they perform very well in the battery department. As you might have guessed, both devices do have fingerprint readers. There really isn't a whole lot to look at here, just which one is faster and more reliable. In my experience, they're both very reliable, detecting my fingerprint almost each and every time. Of course, the placement of the two sensors should be taken into consideration, with the 6Ps on the back and the 3s being placed on the more traditional bottom front. Now, while I prefer the sensor placement of the 6P, I just cannot deny the speed and accuracy of the 3 sensor. Pretty much all you need is a tap and you're in. It is instant. On the 6P, you do have to rest your finger there noticeably longer, and plus, you have to pick the phone up in order to do so. You obviously don't have to do that on the OnePlus 3. Now, of course, there are other features each phone comes with that the other one does not. Things like the 3's alert slider or the 6P's front-facing speakers. While the alert slider is a very nice feature to have, I didn't find myself using it all that much, if at all. But as someone who listens to music and watches YouTube and Netflix fairly often, the set of front-facing speakers on the 6P is something I obviously found myself using all the time. The audio game on the 6P is fantastic. Now, the speaker on the 3 isn't horrible. It may be bottom firing, and while that may turn some people off, I've definitely heard worse. Lastly, there's the price. The baseline OnePlus 3 comes in at $399, and that'll get you 64GB of non-expandable storage, and the baseline Nexus 6P will often see price drops from $450 to $399, but you'll only get 32GB of storage with that option. However, we might end up seeing a permanent price drop upon the release of this year's Nexus devices. So while having the latest version of Android will swing a lot of people, it won't swing everybody. Some people honestly just don't care. Some people are more concerned with how the phone will feel in their hand, while some people care about their audio being directed right at their face. Some people just want an awesome looking red and white charging cable. As I stated at the beginning of the video, you can't go wrong either way. Whichever phone you get, it's a win. Each phone has its differences, its downfalls, and selling points. I personally choose the Nexus 6P. Even though it's about a year old and about 8 months older than the OnePlus 3, I still love the screen, the size of the phone, and the great camera. I personally prefer the fingerprint reader on the back. You already know about those front-facing speakers. I love being able to use the latest version of Android as soon as it's baked and out of the oven, and well, it's a Nexus. Now, I'm not trying to take anything away from the OnePlus 3. I think OnePlus did a fantastic job this year. They hit the pricing just right, they got rid of that invite system, and they pushed out a blazing fast, extremely well-built device that can easily make you reconsider that iPhone or Galaxy considering it's hundreds of dollars cheaper. It's phones like this that really make me excited for future releases of mid-range priced smartphones. So which one do you guys pick? Let me know by dropping a comment down below and let me know why you made that choice. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to hit that like button. Subscribe to Android Police if you haven't already. That does it for me. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.